Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bremner Sqaure Podcast. My name is Johnny Chick, and joining me we have Max Hunter and Kieran Archer. The band are back together. Max, how are you doing? Good week, mate?
Yes, very well. Good, ready, happy.
All good. Kieran, it's been a while since you've come on the podcast. You've dodged a bullet in the Manchester United defeat. How was your weekend and summer as well? Because we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend was a lot more enjoyable immediately than last weekend. So something ruined last weekend for me a little bit. And then the summer, yeah, really enjoyable summer. Watched pretty much all the Euros games, but that ended in heartbreak. So I'm looking for Leeds United to pick me up and restore my faith in football this season. Some silverware would be nice, I reckon. The FA Cup.
The start of that resurgence for Leeds United to pick you up must have gone well at Old Trafford then with a nice 5-1 defeat. I can't lie, when the Euros final ended, when Saka missed that penalty, like the first thing that came into my mind, I was like, well, how long is it until the Man United game? I don't know about you guys, I sort of pushed like the Euros defeat kind of away quite quickly, almost too quickly. I don't know, but there was a bit of a fan.
It lingered on me for quite a while, to be fair. So it put a bit of a downer on a couple of weeks, but I managed to put it to one side eventually.
Yeah, once you get back into pre-season, you've got Leeds playing Blackburn away and conceding from a deflected free kick. It's fine. We're back. Of course, the big thing that happened on Saturday, Leeds off the mark in the Premier League this season. We've got the first point on the board. We're out of the relegation zone. We're staying up, Max. Good to get the first point on the board.
Yeah, I didn't know we were out of the relegation zone.
We are for now, because Arsenal, Wolves, and I think someone else haven't played. I think Leicester, well, I don't know, haven't played yet. So by the end of today, we could be back in the relegation zone. But as of now, we're staying up.
Oh no, I'll be turning grey and pulling what hair I have left out of my head if we go back in the relegation zone. Nah, it's good. First points on the board. First home game. First game with a crowd. Capacity crowd. And yeah, just joy, wasn't it?
It was. The capacity crowd. I think we kind of got to talk about that first, because that's the main difference between last season and this season. Fans back at Elland Road. I was lucky enough to be involved, and it was genuinely one of the best atmospheres I've seen. Like before kickoff, everyone waving the flags, the sort of yellow highlighter-ish coloured flags that were flying around Elland Road. Kieran, what do you make to the atmosphere? It was good to have the fans back, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, first of all, me and my dad are on a bit of a season ticket sharing scheme this year, because basically, if I used to have a season ticket with my dad, and then I went away to uni, I didn't have it, and now I'd be at the very back of a very long waiting list for a season ticket. So I'm getting to a few games on my dad's season ticket. We're going to share it about a bit. But because it's his season ticket, he got this one, and I'm so good because he's come back, he showed me some of the videos, and then just watching some of the videos that have gone up on Twitter. I mean, it came across well in kind of the highlights I've seen, the match of the day stuff, and other highlights packages I've watched. It looks like a really special atmosphere. It was great before the game to finally be able to give a proper tribute to the many heroes Leeds United has lost over this last, however many months now. And then I think to have that atmosphere again of a full Elland Road, it's something I'd completely forgot what it's like, to be honest. It's been so long. I just forgot how brilliant that stadium is when it's packed with 30-odd thousand Leeds United fans. I think it is one of the best atmospheres in English football, and I'm not saying that just because I'm saying that just because I'm a Leeds fan, but it's genuinely brilliant. And yeah, I'm so glad I wasn't there.
No, there was no bias in that. It is one of the best atmospheres in English football. When you say your dad was seen on the highlights, he wasn't the guy who was just rubbing his chest when Calvert-Lewin was taking that penalty, was he? I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen that video just flying around Twitter?
Yeah. I think a good effort at a distraction tactic. It didn't work, but at least he's tried to make a contribution.
I was going to say, fans back, you've kind of got to do what you can. He's just rubbing his chest when Calvert-Lewin's about to take the penalty. He then slots it, and then doesn't Calvert-Lewin celebrate in front of the northwest corner? And then this old woman just puts a middle finger up at him as well. And I saw that screenshot on Calvert-Lewin's Instagram story. It was, fans are back. It was kind of the moment I was like, okay, yeah, we're back. But like you say, the atmosphere, Kieran, was ridiculous. And when it was like walking back up into Elland Road, sort of, I was very overwhelmed. I got in at 2:00 just after I saw Calvin Phillips and Firpo were starting. I was buzzing, got in, and you just take a look around, and everyone just seemed very taken aback by it. Everyone was almost a bit silent, just trying to take in the whole atmosphere and the whole occasion. But like you say, the tributes to those that we've lost before the game were fantastic. Sort of drowned out slightly by the marching on together, but that was kind of understood. And if we did try and do an individual tribute to everyone, Max, it would have taken hours. So the club did right in what they did, and they also put photos of fans that we'd lost before the game. I think about 2:59, 3:00, with all their names as well. It was a fitting tribute, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was just simply that you couldn't do it individually because, especially with Norman Hunter and Jack Charlton, where do you begin? They've played probably over 1,500 games between them, and then you've got, and I think it was pretty much an entire starting 11. I think it was about 10 former players had sadly passed away. So where do you even begin? And especially from a majority of them in that era, or just if that era kind of cut back in the mid 70s as well. And they're just individually all good, great players that you can't Leeds did the right thing, put them together, remember them together as equals, and the fans as well, obviously, because a lot of people would have been going to the ground today for the first time without their dad, their mum, their brother, their grandparent, their uncle, their auntie, brother or sister maybe. So yeah, it was just everything just needed to. It was poignant to a point where. But also a celebration that, look, we're here, we're back, and we're not going to forget you. You're still here with us, which is nice.
Yeah, you do forget season ticket holders when they're with people around the ground. You don't always know their name. You just sort of recognise their face, and then coming back over a year and a half later and not seeing them, you can't imagine what that would have felt like. I'm not a season ticket holder, so I didn't sort of have that feeling, but I know people would have done. So, it's awful that we've lost so many people, but I think the club did as well as they can in the pre-match build-up for the game against Everton. Well, let's get on to the game. A 2-2 draw, a good point. Coming back from behind, Kieran, which I haven't really seen. I was trying to think during the game, actually, how many times have we come back under Marcelo Bielsa in the Premier League to win a game from 1-0 down? I remember we did against Leicester away last season, but I couldn't quite remember how many other times we'd done it. I don't think it's many more than that. Feel free to correct me if there are any others, but I can't really remember too many. So when we went 1-0 down and 2-1 down, we did well to show fight and improve on a game ultimately that we lost last season.
Yeah, I mean, I've frozen up here because I'm trying to remember all the times we've come from behind, and I'm sure there must be more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, Max may be able to add something on that when you come to him, but I think it was a good demonstration to come from behind twice. I think one thing I am a little bit disappointed in is we had that little period after Everton's second goal where Calvert-Lewin's had a couple of clear-cut chances. chances that, you know, if it had, Mellier's done really well to save them and kept us in the fight. But maybe as a striker, you're expecting him not to give the keeper any chance. And I'd say that kind of was a little bit of a throwback to the Manchester United game, where we'd got the equaliser and then we'd gone 2-1 down, and then immediately after we'd gone 3-1 down, 4-1 down, where it's just we had that moment of madness after conceding where we didn't settle down and get ourselves back into the game. We've shipped another good couple of clear-cut chances, but luckily Meslier was fantastic and kept him out this time, so we didn't have that thing of just immediately going like 2 goals down, 3 goals down, and that allowed us to a platform to improve, to get ourselves back into the game and get, I mean, probably a deserved equaliser on the run of play, but you know, Everton did have some really good clear-cut chances.
Yeah, that was my biggest fear, sort of having this massive build-up before the game, a fantastic atmosphere, everyone's up for it, and then within 20 seconds we're like 1-0 down, and the Scott McTominay sort of thing happens, and Sqaure lashed a shot wide literally within the first, I think, like 17 seconds, and I was like, please, just don't go in at all. Max has improved his your knowledge, Max, on the Macedonia sweet shops. He's coming with saying we came from behind to draw with Liverpool at home last season, a Diego Llorente header. It's a good, fantastic knowledge from you there.
Can't think of anything else.
No, I was trying to think. I was literally probably should have really been taken in the game more.
We can maybe use Hull City if we stick within 90 minutes. But
yeah, we're not counting any penalty shootout losses. Yeah, I was trying to think. I probably should have just been enjoying the game more than I was literally thinking Leicester away, any other game, sort of just not really taking in what was happening on the pitch. It was a game filled with a bit of controversy. VAR was used for the first time at Elland Road with fans in. It was a very, very weird experience seeing the purple screen come up on the sort of south stand corners, thinking, "Oh, VAR, he's checking this." Was it a penalty for you, Max?
Yeah, I mean, it's a soft one, but if you're a striker in that position, you can feel like I don't think he was going to get to it. Well, it's a difficult one because like they both got hold of each other's shirt. Cooper sort of like admitted that in his interview after. And like if you're a striker and you can feel just a little slight something that's going to hold you back and you know you're not going to get it. Admittedly, the fall was over the top for the amount of contact that was there. So he kind of just like jumped on his bum like a grumpy toddler when they're having a strop. But it worked. It showed it in the brought the attention to the VAR that there has been something going on there. And yeah, Cooper has got hold of his shirt, and Calvert-Lewin's got hold of Cooper's shirt, but I think it's now like with offsides, the benefit is with the attacker because the Premier League wants to see goals to be a good brand of football. So yeah, if it's like a 50-50 like that, I think it's more 51-49 in the attacker's favour, unfortunately. But if that was Bamford and Mina, you probably want it the same, which should have been in added time at the end. But yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, we're going to get on to that. I think Cooper said in his post-match interview, I think he said it takes 2 to tango, and he was sort of saying, "Oh, what is Calvert-Lewin pulling his shirt?" I think, like you say, the attackers are being benefited a little bit more this season. I think Phil Hay tweeted as well, if it was Bamford, you'd want a penalty. And it was Bamford in the last minute, Kieran. He's been battling with Yerry Mina for 90-plus minutes. It was a fascinating battle. I saw there was a bit of sort of tussle in the first half. It looked like Mina potentially kicked out of Bamford, and he saw a bit of a cut on Bamford's arm. Only a booking for the both of them, but Bamford went down in the penalty area in the last minute. A penalty for you?
I think so. First of all, I do think the Cooper one on Calvert-Lewin is probably a penalty, but then I think if that's a penalty, then definitely Yerry Mina on Bamford is a penalty as well. And I don't know why. I mean, they said it was checked, but it was more of a soft check. They didn't have the referee over the screen like they did for the Calvert-Lewin penalty. So I don't know why they haven't done that. Why they haven't had the referee look at it in the same way. whether it was just because it was right at the death of the game, and it's like, we have seen penalties awarded after a final whistle before, actually, in the Premier League. There was one with Man United last season, wasn't there? Yeah, I don't see why it wasn't checked further. They did say they checked it, but I think it was one of these soft checks that had always taken place rather than obviously a full-on VAR check with the referee going over to the screen.
Yeah, I think it was the same. Sorry, I think it's the same to sort of save face with the referees union, because obviously if the referee on the ground doesn't see it, I don't think it's a pen and then blows full time. It's like, all right, fine, yeah, whatever. But if the VAR referee is going, like you said, oh, he's checked it, but he's like, that's less than a 5-second check between, because I was on Match of the Day, it went full time whistle. Commentator says, oh, that's annoying for Leeds fans or something, like the game's finished 2-2, and then he said the check's over. It's like, you can't check it in a space of one sentence. How can you check all 7 camera angles and go,
I know.
Yeah. So I think, to avoid controversy of like the Man United game, I think there was maybe one at West Ham in the London Stadium, I don't know, but it was all a bit of a farce, wasn't it, when they got a penalty after the full-time whistle? So I think it's a case of, we're not doing that. Once the referee blows full time, that's it. Tough.
It will make the Premier League a good watch, though. Another penalty after full time. You can't say it would have benefited probably 95% of the ground as well. So the referee wouldn't exactly have been getting too much stick. So that's why they wouldn't have looked at it after full time. But like you say, they just sort of glanced. No, it's Bamford. No, not a penalty. Not a chance. But when we talk about when they went over to the screen, it was so weird because the screen was placed sort of next to the Everton fans, and this was for Calvert-Lewin's penalty, and I could see directly like the Everton fans being able to look at the screen, and they're all sort of just shouting at the ref like, oh look, he's dragged him down. I was thinking, what sort of influence is this on the referee? I was thinking it's a bit of a dodgy positioning of the screen to be placed slap bang next to the away end, and they're sort of almost like his fourth official just sort of telling, I don't know, it was a bit weird, but Calvert-Lewin obviously dispatched the penalty well. He's a massive aerial threat, is DCL. We've seen it for England do well, and obviously Everton last week as well. It scored a header against Southampton. Kieran, did we deal with the threat of the crosses and the aerial threat well enough for you?
I mean, I suppose they haven't scored from a header. It was a cross, but obviously led to the Calvert-Lewin penalty. Calvert-Lewin gets goal side of Cooper, and Cooper drags him down. But I think that was a low cross, wasn't it? He was kind of whipping across the box. So I'd say the fact that we haven't conceded a goal as a result of a header against a side with really strong, really tall players, not just Calvert-Lewin, but also I'm thinking like Yerry Mina as well. I think he's a threat from set pieces. I'd say we dealt with it well enough.
I just realised I got so caught up in all the whole atmosphere and VAR stuff. We haven't actually talked about the goals that we scored. There were two really well worked goals in Mateus Klich and Rafinha. Max, do you want to take the Klich one? Describe it to the people who haven't seen the goal.
It was good. I liked it. It was a good goal. That's all you need to know. Maybe Klich back to his best, sort of Bamford peeling off to the right with the ball, creates like a little maybe 2-on-1 where I think he drags Mina away. Mina just seemed to be with Bamford every time I saw them. Michael Keane, not quick enough to track Klich back. Klich just sort of gets a little ball laid through to him as he's going into the area, and Klich just smashes it into a goal. What happy days. Klich maybe back to his good old self again. And it was kind of like maybe not poetic in the sense like, oh yes, it would have been nice for Rafinha or Firpo to get a goal on their home capacity crowd debut, but with Klich it's like someone that's got binned in a sense, came back, worked hard, got in the team, carried us through the championship, played what was like over 80 games in a row, something like that, starting over 80 games in a row, and then he's the one who scores back with a full crowd. Like West Brom was like, but it's not like a full crowd, and you could just sort of see that he just loved it, didn't he? He just wanted it.
Yeah.
In a bottle and drinking it every morning.
It was. I know what you mean. I'm a massive advocate of Klich, and I always have a bit of bias when Rodrigo starts over him. I'm like, I just love Mateus Click. I love watching him, and when it was him that put it in, it was good. And to get the click scoring goals chant out afterwards, I certainly wasn't complaining. And Kieran, a goal for Rafinha on his full capacity Elland Road debut, a fantastic finish as well.
Yeah, and I think he's coming to like a goal against Everton, isn't he? So scored against them yet again. But once again, I'd say this one's maybe more about the finish than the build-up of the first goal. But still, I think Calvin Phillips with the ball into the box, it looks kind of hopeful, but it is actually quite a fantastic ball towards the back stick where I think there's both Sqaure and Cooper waiting, both big aerial threats, but, the ball ends up dropping to Cooper's feet. He just sees Rafinha there waiting on the edge of the box, and the finish is just lovely, perfect, a curling finish and into the opposite corner. It was absolute sort of out of the textbook finishing from Rafinha, really nice finish. And I want to touch on Calvin Phillips, actually, another great ball that almost set up as final chance as well. His crossing ability turns out it's very good. So Calvin Phillips on the wing, I'm saying.
Well, this is the thing. We need someone to replace Calvin Phillips' position. That's because he's now going to be moving to the left wing and delivering balls like he was on Saturday. He was fantastic. And I thought his overall performance, I thought he was back to his best as well. He was really good. Rafinha was very, very good as well. Little Cruyff turn on the halfway line. Part of me is thinking, why are you doing that? But part of me is thinking, I love that you're doing that. I don't know. And he was so angry when he celebrated as well. He always looks like he's about to punch someone. And it's dangerous, but it's also like, I like the fact that you're really up for this. And there was no real celebration with the crowd on his goal. It was sort of like, no, that's me. I'm now going to look like I want to kill people. And now I'm going to back to the halfway line, try and get a winner, which obviously we didn't. But a 2-2 draw against Everton, they are a good side. We've got to kind of take into account with that they are a team who's probably going to finish in the top half of the table this season. A good manager, world-class manager in that sort of bracket with Rafa Benitez. So overall, are we happy with the point? Okay, maybe not.
It's a difficult one because it's like, yes, after last week, it's good to get a point on the board and get some goals. But it's like, I think we can see ourselves as on a par with Everton. I think Everton will be of having 30% of the ball and getting 2 goals and manage to keep it as a draw. I think they'll be more pleased with it than we are, compared to us having 70% of the ball and conceding 2 goals, which is annoying. So, I think within the context of an early season, but over the whole season, I think we'll finish above or be better than Everton.
Oh, an early season prediction there from you, Max. Like I said last week, we lost to Man United away last season. We lost to Man United away last week. We lost to Everton at home last season. We're now 1 point up effectively on last season. So that means we're going to finish higher than 9th. You heard it. You heard it here first. We're getting into the Champions League places. No, a good point. A packed out Elland Road. Overall, a fantastic day. And we look ahead now to midweek. Crewe Alexandra in the Cup, a mouth-watering tie of the Carabao Cup, the illustrious Carabao Cup. I'm sure we're all looking forward to that one. It'll be, joking aside, Kieran, it'll be a good chance to see the under-23, some other fringe players. Helder Costa, Tyler Roberts, who had a good impact yesterday. It'll be a good time for them to have in front of what looks like a full capacity Elland Road.
Yeah, I suspect it will be largely an under-23 squad, and maybe Adam Forshaw as well, possibly. He's been playing a lot with the under-23s, hasn't he? So, it will be an interesting chance to see some of these players. Obviously, we know of the impacts a lot of them have been making for the under-23s. If Somerville gets minutes, I know a lot of Leeds fans are excited about Somerville. I think is Joe Gelhardt injured at the moment. He took an injury recently, didn't he? Which is a shame. But Sam Greenwood, if he gets on a free kick, I think we can already chalk that as a goal, it seems. He's got a good record with his free kicks. So, a really exciting chance to see some of these younger players, and also to see some of the fringe players, like you say, Helder Costa, who could actually be used during the Premier League season, just see how they're shaping up. And it's actually going to be my first game back at Elland Road since February 2020, a 1-0 loss to Wigan Athletic in the Championship. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's not going to be a fantastic atmosphere like Saturday was, but it's still going to be great to be back in that place for like you say, what seems like it's more or less a capacity crowd. It's going to be an emotional one for me, I think.
It certainly will, and I think Max, you said you might be off to the game as well. So both looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. It'll be my first time in Elland Road in a long time, like Kieran. And yeah, don't care who it's against, just want to see him. And maybe Kieran's listening off. I think maybe Rodrigo to play as well, and maybe up top by himself. I don't know. Maybe he gets to pull rank over Greenwood and say, "Look, I'm the record signing. I've played for Spain. I'm going to go up top."
Was he injured a bit yesterday? Because you know he was on the bench, but he didn't come on. I think Bielsa said that he was slightly injured. I know Koch almost did his cocking in a sense. I think sort of.
Yeah, hopefully Bielsa's learnt from the Crawley game of we need some sort of like Premier League quality on and not just a bunch of kids, because it is good. Hopefully we just get a run in the Carabao Cup and get not to play anybody big, but just play teams. Well, obviously playing teams below us would be good because it means we're more favourable to win and go more of a journey, but more of a chance for the younger kids to play more. Like, yes, the under-23s is the league, the reserve league. It may get better, but there's nothing like facing a League Two centre half who knows every trick in the book and just gives them a little bit something different, really, in it for Greenwood to test himself about with.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We thought Rodrigo would be all right against Mark Wright and Crawley Town, but turns out they were a bit too big for him as well. So hopefully he sort of deals with himself if he is to play, deals with himself better against Crewe. Kieran, you mentioned actually Greenwood on free kicks. I was thinking earlier, if we'd have signed him a season earlier or 2 seasons earlier, he could have come on against Derby in the playoffs instead of Izzy Brown, bent a free kick in, we score, and we're actually promoted that season before now. That was sort of an image I had in my head that, you know, would be relatively nice. But Crewe, Kieran, you said you wanted silverware this season. I want to pose a question to you. We get relegated, but we win the Carabao Cup. Are you taking that?
I'd maybe do it for the FA Cup, but definitely not the League Cup. And I'm not saying I would do it for the FA Cup. I'm conflicted. I'd need further thinking on that. But I don't think I'd take the Carabao Cup for relegation.
I mean, it is a cup that City are going to win anyway. So It's not like we would really have too much chance. Max, relegation and lifting the famous Carabao Cup for you? No?
No.
Would you be swayed by the FA Cup?
No. Not because I'm like Burnley or Palace or Brighton, where staying in the league's nothing. Progress, and I want to be in that UEFA Conference League. I want to be going to Azerbaijan to watch FK Karabag and all these kind of teams.
Well, this is the thing. If we win the FA Cup, get relegated, we'd still qualify for like the Europa League, I think, don't we?
Yeah, Wigan played in Europe while in the Championship when they won the FA Cup and got relegated.
Yeah, exactly. So we'd be facing like Luton one week and then like potentially Olympiacos the next week. That would be the most rollercoaster Bielsa season I think we've ever seen.
But then I feel like burnout will actually be a thing because it'll be we'll have to play like the second playoff round and then the third playoff round and then the actual playoff round and then we're into the group stages. So that's like
46 Championship games.
Yeah, that's like 15 games before August. Before the end of August.
Okay. That would be a bit of burnout.
Not even
tell, my internet.
It's a bit jumpy, I think.
Can you hear me all right? I don't know if my internet went.
Okay, Kieran, fine now. No, I was
nice.
Just saying that any team would be burnt out by that. It wouldn't even be Bielsa burnout.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there was Joe Cole thinking that we were going to get burnt out an hour, 70 minutes into the Man United game. Oh, I've seen so much about this burnout. Like, did you watch the overlap with Gary Neville or his pre-match sort of thing with the fans?
Yeah, I saw a clip of it, and if I was the Leeds United fan, I believe her name was Heidi, was it?
Yeah.
I would have said, look, go away, find an argument, find a brain and just be better, because you're just falling into that generic trap. Come on, have a new argument. Let's go. We proved it last season.
I know.
It's not a thing.
I can't tell if they posed the
Move on with our
question.
lives and find something more interesting to talk about.
I can't tell if they posed the question because they know it's going to rattle so many Leeds fans. I think it was Josh Denzel, the presenter, who was like, do you think Bielsa might suffer with a bit of burnout this season? Because, that's usually the case with this. I'm thinking it's not usually the case. And I know you probably don't even think that, but it's still rattling me. And well done, you've got what you wanted, because it's annoyed me. It's annoyed the fan base. And it's so annoying. But burnout, one thing, depth, another. Max, do we have if we are to go far in this cup that City are going to win in the end, do you think that we've got the depth to go that far into the competition? Because we play Saturday, Tuesday a lot in the Championship anyway. So this wouldn't really be too different.
No, I think depth is more. Well, burnout wasn't an issue in the first place because, we knew, it'd be fine because we played 46 games in the Championship for 2 years straight. And yes, it kind of made a presence in the first one, but in the second one, even with thank God for the COVID break, but even with that, we walked it.
I was going to say, don't forget, we did get promoted because of COVID. That is why.
But I think this year, depth may be an issue because just looking at the starting 11s of yesterday, we've only made one change, which is Firpo. And I think Burnley maybe are with less, and I didn't notice any changes in their starting 11 yesterday. This was from the match of the day graphics, so it's a quick look, so it's not a proper look. So maybe, but it's just kind of I don't want to say standing still because it's like with Bielsa, it's like queuing up for a bungee jump. You're watching it and you're going, right, well, it works, it's fine. But when it gets closer to you, I don't know about this one anymore. It's it works, to trust it and trust him, but you're still just a nice winger, a midfielder would be nice.
So if you were to bungee jump with a midfielder, you'd feel a lot safer, is what we're saying.
Along with a bungee, yes.
No, I'm not expecting you to just jump from however many meters onto a trampoline. An analogy I haven't heard before, but I'm sure I can't wait for Bielsa to be asked in his press conference in midweek. So you've been described like you're sort of like a bungee jump, but you don't have a bungee. What are your thoughts on this? He just comes up with a half an hour response about how this analogy is actually fantastic. So you never know. You could be in with Marcelo there, Max. But Kieran, Max, score predictions for this game against Crewe. We don't know what side we're going to play. It's the Luke Murphy derby actually as well.
Yeah.
We're up all night for Luke Murphy in this one. But Kieran, your score prediction?
Difficult to predict this one, like you say. We don't know who's even going to play for us. I'm going to be optimistic and say we win 2-0.
First win of the season. Fantastic. Max?
Yeah, I don't know what team we're going to play. I think a lot of lower league clubs will be more, obviously they're up for it because they want to beat Premier League teams, but also the prize money, and they obviously the clubs down there, they're just desperate for any bit of cash they can get, so they'll be trying to get it extra. But hopefully, Leeds, I think it'll be a scrappy 1-0 with lots of rookie errors, but we'll just about get through.
I'd quite like to win on penalties because it's penalties and they're quite fun to watch. But if I had to, I think I'll go 3-0, a convincing 3-0 win. I wanted to see someone do what Samu Saiz did a couple of years ago and just take the cup by storm. Whether, Helder Costa, hat-trick against Crewe, potential. I don't know what's happened to Ian Poveda as well. He's just not really existing at the moment in the Leeds squad. Kieran, rumours of a bit of a falling out. I don't know what's happened there. What do you think?
I don't know what's happened either, but I was going to say when you said you don't know what's happening with Ian Poveda, but that's what I've heard. There's rumours of a falling out. I think the Athletic put something on about it. So I really don't know. Maybe he got a bit annoyed at lack of minutes or not getting enough chances, and he was told, well, prove that you deserve a chance, and didn't like that. I don't know. He's always seemed like a nice lad, actually, off the video I've seen. So it's hard to think, how can people fall out with him? But, I mean, clearly there's been something, and I don't know, he might not be a Leeds United player by the end of August. I think, considering some of the performances when he's come on and made a bit of an impact, sort of decent at running at teams. Surely there's like Championship, League One teams that would be interested in taking him on. Maybe even just on loan initially at first. With a look.
I guess we'll know in the lineup if I think assume Helder Costa's going to play because he seems to be the third choice. But if it's Somerville or Pervader, but then you know what's going on.
Yeah, the thing is, if he's not even named in that squad, because I know they don't like to talk about COVID, do they? And who's got COVID? They just sort of say, out with illness or whatever. But he hasn't really commented on Pervader, and I might be wrong here. I was listening to another podcast. Obviously, listen to this one first. But I was listening to another one. I think they were saying in his press conference before the Everton game, he said, we've got three wingers. Or no, three wingers I can take, Costa, Harrison and Rafinha, and didn't really mention Pervader. He doesn't seem to be getting a look in, but I know what you mean, Kieran. He's always seemed like such a humble guy. Remember when we won against Charlton 4-0 and lifted the trophy? He was going around on Instagram Live telling everyone how we were going to sign Ben White and stuff like that, and going up to Ben White like, you're going to sign the contract, you're going to sign the contract. Obviously, that didn't work, but he tried his best. So he's always seemed like a good lad. So I just don't know what's gone wrong. And I don't like to think... It's like with Pablo last season when he sort of had a thing with Bielsa, and after he sort of threw his armband on the floor, you think, but it's Pablo, you don't want to fall out with him. So same thing really with Pervader. But obviously after the Crewe game, it's a chance for people to prove their worth, to try and get them into the first team. And the first team will be back in action. Well, it could be the first team on Tuesday, but back in action properly Sunday against Burnley. How have Sky chosen Burnley Leeds as a Super Sunday game, by the way? I'm not entirely too sure where they've got that from.
We're Burnley's biggest rivals, apparently, which is news to me.
I did see that, and I thought, am I reading that right? Burnley, what? Was that the only team that we were compared to like big rivals with as well? I think Man United put City, did they? I think.
Yeah, Man United. Yeah, City, but yeah, like Burnley fans chose us, and we chose Man United.
Yeah.
And yeah, Burnley were the only other team to pick us, which was a bit of a odd.
They evidently took the Peacock Farrell, Charlie Taylor and Chris Wood sales a bit too personally. So it's potentially our biggest game in terms of rivalry of the season. A trip to Turf Moor. A 4-0 win out last time, Max. But this time, slightly different because they've got fans in and Turf Moor is a bit of a fortress.
I want a fortress is a word. Yeah, it will be different, but hopefully Rodrigo can just redo what he did last time and just absolutely walk it, and just maybe even chuck a spin in and score. Yeah, it may be different, but like I mentioned earlier, I don't think they've made many signings, so they are a bit standstillish, and so hopefully we can be better than them again, because we were better than them last season, and we've got a better left back now, which doesn't matter that much because they didn't score last time. So the defense is still good. Maybe even Llorente can come and play again. But yeah, I'm feeling confident about it.
Credit where credit is due to Burnley. They did field a lineup again on Saturday against Liverpool with all numbers 1 to 11, all playing in the correct position. So you know they don't deserve to start with a goal ahead or anything like that, like an advantage. But credit where credit's due. Sean Dyche has done well there with a nice little Brexit lineup of a 4-4-2, 1 to 11. You can't beat it. Obviously, last season, Kieran, like we said, a 4-0 win. We're not playing against Bailey Peacock Farrell this time, though, so it probably won't be as much. Credit's due to him as well. He's kept like 4 or 5 clean sheets for Sheffield Wednesday. We sort of rinsed him when he signed for Sheffield Wednesday, laughing at them, but he's actually done well, so fair play to him. How do you see this one panning out? Because Bamford last season against Burnley scored from the penalty spot, but usually sometimes doesn't do as well against the sort of big defenders like James Tarkowski and Ben Mee. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not reading too much into the 4-0 last season because I think Burnley were on the beach a bit. And you don't think Sean Dyche is one of those managers that had let his players' concentration slip towards the end of the season, but I did not think they had the work rate that you expect of a Sean Dyche Burnley team. And I think with Burnley, I think the key is to just get that goal. We will be on top. I feel fairly solid that we will be on top of the game. We'll be playing a lot of the game in their half. But they have got the ability to frustrate you. They're so solid defensively, so well drilled defensively, and I think that's another thing. When we played them last season, we get that goal, and then they have to now come at us a little bit to get back into the game, and that just allowed the floodgates to open. But if you don't get that goal, you risk them going down the other end and like just plopping across on Chris Wood's head, and you're losing 1-0 with 82% possession. So, like I say, that's the key against Burnley. Get that goal, and the floodgates might open.
Yeah, they are a side who do like to lose. Like it is 5-0 against City all the time, isn't it? And Norwich did that yesterday, to be fair as well to them. So the Canaries are getting in on the act as well. It was a a battering last season at Turf Moor. Hopefully it's a similar thing. Max, there's another chance as well. We could see Bamford slide in front of Sean Dyche because what was it? I remember last season there's just a whole narrative of this, and he did score against Burnley, but didn't knee slide in front of them.
Yeah, so they put the Burnley training session, they put them left foot over here, right foot over here. Bamford went over to his favourite foot, and then Sean Dyche went, Patrick, aren't you over there? So that's in the other group. So that's always good when the coach doesn't know what foot you are or what's your strongest foot. So yeah, he didn't like the fact that when he came to sign, his mum and dad came with him. So I also read that somewhere last season that he didn't believe he had the character to do well from the start. He brought his mum and dad to his contract signing, which I think is nice. But
I was gonna say
it's not the right mentality for Sean Dyche. You should be turning up by yourself, alone and depressed. And not
that's how he likes his players. This Sean, a legend now. But I guess didn't he say he was like spoon fed or something like that as from like a child or something like that? Bamford had it all onto him on like a sort of silver plate. It could be a credit to him that he doesn't know what foot's his strongest, that he could just be very good with his right foot. I don't know if we've read into that as much. It could be that he thinks Bamford's just a very good finisher, which he is, and he is going to score on Sunday. Is it important that we get 3 points here? Because if we go into an international break with 2 points from 3 games or 1 point from 3 games, we'll probably be in the relegation zone near the bottom of the table. Is it important? Obviously, it's always nice to get 3 points, but how key is it to get 3 points in this game?
I think we could really do with that first win of the season before the international break. I do think it just does a lot for confidence. You know how Leeds fans can be quite reactionary sometimes. If we go into the international break without a win, you can just imagine the R word getting mentioned all over social media. So yeah, for me, it might not be like this for the players. The players probably just take every game as it comes. But for me, I do feel like we need to get that first 3 points on the board.
It did feel like Saturday was crucial in terms of just getting that first point, so we're not stuck on the big fat 0 anymore, but to now move up and get 3 points. Because 4 points from Everton, Burnley and Manchester United isn't bad. So if we can follow up that draw with a win, that would be fantastic. Max, are we going to, though? That's the key question. Score prediction.
Yeah, I think 2-0.
2-0 Leeds. Kieran?
I'll go 1-0 Leeds.
Edging it. I don't think we'll concede, so this can get clipped when Chris Wood scores within a minute, but I think it'll be 2-0 as well. I think we'll come away with 2 goals in the second half. I can see it being 0-0 at half time. One more thing just to talk about as well, though. In the week, Patrick Bamford signed a new contract, keeping him at the club until 2026. And Max, it was quite positive, I thought, his interview, because he said he always wanted to stay here, and he's kind of at the age now. If he's signing a 5-year contract, he might just settle down at Leeds, come to the end of his career at Leeds. It's a good thing, isn't it? The players want to stay at this club.
Yeah, and especially one will be forevermore as sort of like a legend. A legend in the fact that he, for a lot of the younger generation, because he did it, he led us. He was the leading man. It was his goals that brought us back to the promised land, and he got a hat-trick against Villa. He scored a great goal against Leicester. I think that was like our first big away win before the Man City one. And it's just, the number 9, good goal scorer, good bloke, top bloke.
Yeah.
It's a big contract. I was surprised, 2026. It's a big contract for someone of that age. But yeah, if he wants to settle down here, I'm more than happy to have him over for tea.
There you go, Patrick. There's your invite. Go to Max's for tea after you bag a hat-trick against Burnley. Kieran, it's obviously a fantastic thing to have him signed, but obviously thinking about this season, I think this time last season after 2 games, he'd got 2 goals and like 1 or 2 assists. He hasn't got off the mark already, but it's nothing to be concerned by, is it?
Nah, I think there's no question of sort of a one season wonder tag or anything with Bamford. I think he showed enough against Everton, I think, to show that he will have another very solid season in the Premier League. His awareness to find click for that first equaliser just kind of shows the kind of striker he is. He's for a striker who loves to pump his statistics up. He's actually really unselfish. If he sees a teammate in a better position, more often than not, he will do what's best for the team. And yeah, I think with Bielsa, players never seem to go backwards; they just seem to improve. And Bamford's improvement has been one of the more stark in terms of the Leeds players under Bielsa, and that's everyone's improved, but Bamford you really see it. So I trust that he'll at least sort of pump out a similar amount of goals as last season, and he'll keep scoring similar amounts for a few more seasons to come. Maybe even a few more. Reach 20 this season.
Hopefully. It still confuses me how he got more goals in the Premier League than the Championship, playing like 8 less games and playing against harder teams. I still find that bizarre. But 17, like you say, last season was fantastic. 20 this season would be unbelievable, and I can see him getting on the score sheet against Burnley. I just think he'll be really, really up for it. He does like to. He's a bit of a, I probably can't say the word, but he's a bit of a underrated kind of person who likes to take the mick a bit with the fans. Like he sort of likes a cup of the year against Luton. So he did that against Reading away to their fans when we scored in the last minute. So I can see him performing something similar at Turf Moor on Sunday. Well, that wraps it up for the Bremner Sqaure podcast this week. Lads, thank you very much for coming on as usual, and enjoy the game on Tuesday night against Crewe, taking the atmosphere. I'm sure it'll be good to get back to Elland Road. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in, and we will